is the 243rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of May 2016. This episode is titled Downtime Abbey. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Clone This User. Clone an existing Salesforce user with the click of a button by the desktop or the click of a thumb on the Salesforce One mobile.
Got it.
Available. It's almost like I just had some downtime.
Yeah.
Sorry. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to clonethisuser.com. That is clonethisuser.com. That is clonethisuser.com. I'm your host, Jason Howard, and joining me is co-host 243 times in a row. Wish this episode had like a 14 in there somewhere, like a 1 or 4. It would be nice, but it didn't. Justin Elsey. Justin, how you doing?
I'm good. In reality, you could have just published it tomorrow, and it could have been published on May 14th.
On May 14th.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
MA14.
MA14?
May 14th.
It's going to be May. No? You don't know that meme?
That's bad news.
All right. So first, I'm going to tell you what we're not talking about this week.
What are we not talking about?
Summer 16.
Yeah, we're not.
Not talking about Summer 16.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait for that one.
Too much. Oh, sorry, I got to say it in the mic. Too much stuff going on. So we have a 3-blog catch-up because now the blogging is getting insane. So if you have not been to blog.arkusinc.com recently, go check it out because we're publishing 1 or 2 a week, sometimes 3 a week. So we'll cover a couple of the ones that have been passed by. Then we'll go into, I guess the second biggest news, which got shadowed by the biggest news, and about the outage. And then we'll leave everything else for next week. We'll talk summer because we have, I think, you'll have 2 blog posts already up about summer next week.
Right. I already
yours is already
mine.
Up there.
It's
right.
there. So if you want to read ahead, do your homework.
No.
If you want to do your homework.
No.
Listen. People want to do their homework. They can do their
You
homework.
were almost going to say something else. I love it, and you caught yourself.
Got it.
All right, so let's start off with the first blog post from a few weeks ago, using templates to build Salesforce communities. So
that happened. Let's keep going.
Really?
I don't know. There's so much
talk about who they are.
There's so much great stuff.
All right. Well, we'll give 3 minutes each.
Let's give some love to the people who write the blog
Ashley
posts.
Leifer, who wrote this a couple weeks ago. So this is really about all the new templates, right? So in Salesforce communities, you used to have to sort of hand-build. They came with a crappy Salesforce, I guess, template, the crappy Salesforce look and feel.
Well, that is called Visualforce and tabs.
Right.
Now, when you create a community, it asks you what kind of community template you want to use, and there are 5 types. So there's the 3 kind of pre-built templates that are out of the box and are primarily used for customer service applications. 2 of which, Koa and Kokua, are more...
Thanks for the naming convention,
guys. Yeah, well, it's Hawaiian. So I think those are Hawaiian words. So those are more for... knowledge and cases and self-service.
Right.
Then there's Napoli, which has a little bit more in terms of like standard objects like accounts, contacts, some custom objects, things of that nature. I think this would technically be the template that you would use if you were building a partner community.
Right.
But you can definitely do like a customer community.
I mean, it would have been terrible if they just named them what they like: partner template, success template, knowledge template.
Well, they explain it when you go in. It says like this will do this. This one, the nav is on the left. This one, the nav is on the top. Anyway, they're actually really good implementations of custom Lightning apps because they're all built in Lightning.
Well, that's the best part of it that's the Lightning.
That's the for the win moment is they're totally Lightning. So they're just Lightning components that snap together in. You could build pages, custom pages that are linked to from other pages, from navigation, wherever. You can also have custom detail layouts, create. Like when you want to create a new record, you use an action. So it's totally Lightningized. It's a lot of drag and drop. By the way, the other 2 templates one is the Visualforce /tabs So you could just roll out. It just looks like Salesforce,
Right.
Or you can visual force it up and make it look like
Custom,
anything.
right.
And the other one is just an app launcher community. So you can just use it as kind of like, I log into this community to launch a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
This is my single launching pad for lots of stuff.
It feels like this is the end result of many iterations of Salesforce sites and things like that.
It's the site builder that they used to have for like site.com that doesn't exist, but that's what this is. It's like the community manager or the community builder is basically the site builder.
I heard site.com was on NA14.
If you were on NA14 and you were running a site, that's for another moment during this podcast. So anyway, though, the cool part is that out of the box, you're getting this really nice snap together lightning experience that is extremely responsive and pretty simple to throw together something useful in not such a long period of time.
Read up about that at blog.arkusinc.com, using templates to build Salesforce communities. Moving right along. So we did last year we did our first, and this year I guess we did another.
That'll be our second.
Our Arkus Pro Bono Day. We're going to name them by we're going to do what everybody else in the world does them, do them by calling this Spring 16.
Spring
we might do another one.
Spring Pro Bono Day.
Anyway, not a ton to say about this because it's a little self-promotional, but we ran
we sponsored this podcast.
That's
we
true.
Self-promote.
Early and tiny little bit. But this was a write-up about the event by Shannon Carabetta, who is, you see, I just went for it.
New blogger.
Just went for it straight out. Didn't even try.
Don't even know if that's how
we
you say
need
her
a John
last name.
Smith. Or Jane Smith.
Is that how Shannon pronounces her last name?
We're gonna find out in about 2 days. So anyway, it's the blog post is about how we did the Spring 16 version of our Pro Bono Day, where we invite a lot of local nonprofits to come in and basically do. I mean, I like to call it the miniest Dreamforce ever, and it's
a half a day unconference.
Yeah.
Can we use the word unconference?
No, that's terrible.
We do 2 sessions.
They're structured,
some
breakouts,
and then we have
food.
We have
coffee.
We have a bunch of folks who work at Arkus just huddled around in rooms that people can go into and bring their laptops and ask questions and get answers.
There you go.
It's awesome.
So read up on that. blog.arkusinc.com. Lastly, we have a total. So once in a while, we'll just take a left path.
We'll take a left turn. We'll
do
a 180.
So Holly Ryle? No,
I think it's Ryle.
Royal. It's hard when I'm
We
reading it.
should not be making fun of.
I'm not making fun of. I'm just. I have terrible
I believe
pronunciation.
it's Ryle.
Ryle.
She'll let us know.
Or maybe not.
Let us know, Holly. Whatevs.
Or don't listen to the podcast.
Or
Thanks
whatever.
for downloading.
Thank you. Later.
So this one's called Chrome Extensions for the Win. So
Yep.
she put together a bunch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of her favorite Chrome extensions. Chrome's big in our life. We use Chrome. I went back and started up some old browsers because I want to see where they are. So I looked at Opera. I was like, oh no, actually Opera's pretty good. It's amazing how
Why are you doing this stuff? What drives you to just go open Opera?
Because I read a news story that they came out with a feature, which is not actually on OS X yet, which was the bummer, but a feature that would go into low power mode. So it would use much less power and give you almost 2 more hours on your laptop because it would use so much less power. I find that both Safari and Chrome
hogs.
Yeah, sometimes you go open that. I mean, it's great on OS X. You can look and it'll tell you what, like right now, GarageBand, and Google Chrome are using a significant amount of energy. So the idea is if you're doing a long flight or want to have your laptop open for long hours, you don't want to carry the brick, you would use a browser that was built for using little bit of energy. So that's why I looked at it and I was like, okay. Anyway,
Chrome is right now using the most energy, followed by Time Machine of all things.
Oh, that's funny. You have Time Machine going.
Oh, it's preparing a backup.
A backup. So anyway, there's a couple in here, and I thought what her favorite, which she admits to, says she couldn't live without now. It's called Grammarly, and which is a one that goes into Chrome and basically just like most things check your spelling, this will check your grammar as you type into text boxes. And I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yep.
The only thing I don't like about extensions is I use a lot of browsers, and I don't like extensions that are not in every browser because
cross browser pollination of extension.
Because then I don't feel like I just don't feel like I don't want to think. I don't want to have to think like, oh, I'm in this browser, so I got to do this.
Remember when these things started in Firefox and it was like the coolest thing ever?
Yeah. Well, she also has one for the Salesforce Enhanced Formula Generator.
That one sounds awesome.
Is pretty cool.
I feel like I should probably just have that one.
You probably should have that one.
I don't know why I don't.
You should have it. You should download it.
You're
Click
right.
on the link. And
I'll maybe do that later.
All right, so go read that on blog.arkusinc.com. And that is our blog catch-up.
We used to do this weekly. We used to have one blog post.
Oh, wait. Are you calling us out?
Yes, I am.
Listen, if we do one
We're about to go
week,
super neg, so I may as well do a little
neg on ourselves.
Self-deprecation first.
Well, the first, who says we're going to super neg? The first catch up is funny because this one is from a long time ago. One of our most popular podcast episodes called NGO Disconnect. And it was about how the NGO Connect product, which to a little history for those of you who don't know, and if I mess this up, Justin, jump right in, tell everybody that I'm wrong.
Okay.
But
you're wrong.
It's a third party product that Salesforce kind of brought into its fold, billed as one of their own things.
Wrong.
Well, meaning they
build.
Yes, like they
not build.
Yes.
But like
yes.
Yeah, incorrect wording.
Hold on, I want to blow my nose.
Why don't you blow your nose and I'll go with it. So the Salesforce at the time Foundation, and it's currently called Salesforce.org.
Right, 'cause you got to rebrand that.
Salesforce.org decided that they needed a higher end or enterprise class competitor to Razor's Edge.
Right.
I mean, really just straight up Razor's Edge for fundraising and development departments at larger NGOs, and eventually rolled into something called Advancement Connect, which was for the higher ed space,
which you can find all about on episode 212.
Right.
But
So,
anyway,
find out all about what it is. So, they were with a company called Round Corner, and Round Corner was responsible for building the application.
Right.
And Salesforce was kind of responsible for selling the application. And that's pretty much like all you really need to know, right?
Well,
like that's kind of but that's like the split in this is being branded and sold as a Salesforce product.
That was a huge one.
But
it's just a series of managed packages.
It's going to continue to be built and supported, and the roadmap is going to be controlled, in essence, by this other company called Round Corner.
Right.
So fast forward.
Well, fast forward into our world in it. You and I went to training and enablement for it.
We did.
We dug
About
in.
a year and a half ago, we went to Seattle for NGO Connect bootcamp / enablement.
Right.
It was, I think, the second one that they had held. It was very early in the process.
And we came away with reservations. And then we waited a couple months. And then we had more reservations. And we got on a podcast and we talked about it. And we named the episode, instead of NGO Connect, we named it NGO Disconnect, which is my fault. I take all the credit for it. I mean, all the blame. And we got some feedback. We got lots of feedback about how we were, cutting it off and weren't giving it a chance. We weren't being, fair, and we didn't really take a good look. And
wait a minute.
That's all true.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm not from the negative side. From the positive side, we got
a lot of.
That's what I'm saying.
We got a lot of.
Let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
Now, from the negative side, from the positive side, we got a lot of people saying, yes, thank you for saying this, for pointing out some of the issues, for pointing out some of the architectural stuff that maybe is some of the issues with it.
But in reality, though,
yeah,
most of the feedback was really about the name of the podcast. The content, if you want to go back and listen, nobody really had an issue with, except probably people who worked at Round Corner, and I apologize to those people. But we're about to talk about NA14, where we're going to bash Salesforce in a minute,
right?
And look, we tell it like it is. We didn't have to name it what we named it. That's unfortunate. We apologize profusely about it. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting clicks and links and downloads, right?
Right.
So
No, well, yes. And I will say I named it that way because I thought it'd be more funny. I thought it was kind of a play on the word, and that was it. I didn't really think that it would be such a thing. Now,
well, anyway, now they've taken the next step in the evolution of their partnership.
well, is PR spin for
Listen,
this didn't work.
What happened is Salesforce.org and Round Corner take the next step in the evolution of their partnership.
Wait, I just want to say, so this is like when you go to your kid and you say, you go, Bobby, so your mother and I are taking the next step in the evolution of our relationship.
Right.
I'm going to live in this apartment.
Right.
And your mom's going to live in Seattle.
Right. And you get to live with both of us, but one at a time.
Two holidays.
So
two
they're
birthdays.
excited to share an update that will enable nonprofits and universities to be even more successful with Salesforce. Round Corner has recently officially become a Salesforce ISV partner and the first ever Salesforce.org Platinum app partner for fundraising enterprise customers. That is exciting news.
Sarcasm, dripping, dripping.
That is exciting.
Listen,
they are a Platinum app partner. I mean, that is like what's above silver, gold. What's above gold? Platinum.
What's above platinum?
You don't get above
Titanium.
platinum. You don't get there.
Space.
You are at the highest level. You are on such a high plane.
Drop the sarcasm. It's wonderful. Right. It's dripping. I think here's the thing. When we got on this podcast and we did our thing, we were part of it. We pointed out a lot of what we thought were issues with the way it was done. We thought that the interconnection of this app, which is an installed app, and the way managed packages work. We pointed all this out, and we also pointed out hey, you're selling it branded Salesforce, yet it's not Salesforce.
Right.
It's disconnected. Thus the podcast. And we said there's real problems with that, and we pointed them out. And I mean, it's fine. It's obviously that it didn't work out as this co-branded Salesforce thing. I think there was a lot of feedback from the partners from other partners trying to implement it. It was difficult because it was just in this weird mix. It was Salesforce, but not Salesforce. It was a third party, but not third party, but being sold as a Salesforce thing. And I just don't think it worked. Well, it obviously didn't work. And so that's, in some ways, am I a little irked that we got such feedback from people at Salesforce telling us kind of all this like, well, it's going to work and it'll be fine and we're going to get it right and all this stuff. And then eventually they just pulled the plug on it. Yeah, I'm a little irked because, you kind of gave us the party line. But I'm similar. I'm happy that Salesforce kind of looked back and goes, yeah, maybe this wasn't a right decision. Let's reverse course.
All they did was do the right thing.
Okay.
All they did right now.
Could they not have done a little bit more due diligence in the beginning?
Of course.
Okay.
I think. I mean, again, I say of course because you can always do more due diligence, and it was pretty apparent, like from the get, that this was not quite the right way to go about doing what they did. With that said, doing what they're doing now is absolutely the best thing that they could have done, because if you're going to call yourself a platform company and you're going to try to incentivize software companies to build on your platform and be ISVs and say that you can deliver an enterprise experience on the platform, but you sell it, we provide the infrastructure, you just have great ideas and build apps.
Right.
That's how this should have been done from the start. And that's how other ISVs that are out there, like Job Science, for example, like in the HR space, and Encino in the banking space, and smaller ones that have really great utility like Conga and Drawloop are out there busting their butts to build apps in this ecosystem. And I felt like in this particular case, someone did an end around, and that just
it's a football reference, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Just wasn't sure.
No.
It's a clean podcast.
Yes. Like, no, someone took a shortcut basically and said, you know what? You guys have a sales force of over 100 people, not Salesforce, but a sales space force. Can you sell this for us?
Right.
And we'll just build it for you because you have a gap and we have a gap. We don't have a sales team like you do, and you don't have a product like we do. So let's do this together instead of letting the natural progression of what the app exchange is supposed to be happen.
I think the other thing that I would say, retrospect, 2020, hindsight, although we saw part of it happening there, was it, this wasn't even a crawl, walk, run. Like we talk a lot about agile and crawl, walk, run. They went all in on it, they could have done it a little bit at a time. They could have taken 6 months or a year to kind of vet out the process first.
But they did.
No,
they did.
They pushed it very hard on the partners.
Understood. But with that said, if you were an NGO and you wanted to buy NGO Connect, you were not allowed to do it without an enabled partner. As a matter of fact, the org got provisioned to the partner.
Right.
Not even to the customer.
But are you talking about before or after they did this? Before they did the original thing, the original marriage.
This is how it worked.
Right. But
when they were together.
But what I'm saying is that's my point, is that I feel like there was a couple steps they could have taken before they went the way they went.
But no, but they weren't even, they were trying to run really fast and crawl at the same time, which doesn't work. But they were not allowing customers that they were selling it to just take it.
I gotcha.
Like, hey, I will sell you 100 licenses right now. And if you don't want to work with a partner, that's your prerogative, but you're making a mistake. But I'll sell you your 100 licenses.
I gotcha.
They literally would not do that.
And the other thing that I think we were not happy with was that it was kind of, because there is this thing called the Nonprofit Starter Pack, which is an open source, not version of this, because it's not as high end in terms of all its features as NGO Connect, but it does fill a lot of the things. And I think the outside perception was that it got a little bit into selling something versus talking about something that was for free. And there were some use cases around that I think that maybe got avoided, and that I would, again, it's just a thing to learn from. Let's move on. Speaking of things to learn from, I like to,
What's the name of this podcast?
Downtime, Abbey. Well, the other boys from the other podcast took mine. I was going to make not available because, right. But so for all of you who don't know, because it's possible you have no idea, because Salesforce has many, many, many. I was actually going to look at the full number here.
So many pods.
No, not pods. So, pods. Sorry.
Yeah, pods. Thank you.
45 pods.
That's all.
So what's been happening over this week is NA14 had some issues, went down, had a collapse, which happens, right? So there are outages in Salesforce. I mean, there are ones that are planned, right? There's the planned maintenance releases. And then there are ones where there's degraded performance. And those, I'm even looking at NA11 here, who had one, for a little, looks like an hour, right? So that's fine. That happens all the time. Usually people have a little bit of experience, maybe tough time logging in. It lasts for an hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and goes away. And I've, again, been around Salesforce for a long, long, long time. And I've seen some outages. I've seen things happen. Generally, though, one of the things you don't see is anybody lose data, right? Because what happens is it goes down, and you either can access it or you can't access it. So it's kind of, it's a 1 or a 0. And if they hot swap over, or if they go to one of their backups, like you can still use the system, and whatever data you enter in is still going to be saved. It might be slow, and there might be things not working. But in this case, what happened was, I think the point of this, that's really the two really bad things. One, it's still kind of not up, meaning it's still under what they're calling performance degradation. It has been for days. That's not good.
Yep.
And the second is that
performing in a degraded state,
which means there's features that are turned off.
You have access to Salesforce, but there's some services that are temporarily suspended, such as weekly exports, sandbox copy functionality. Generally, when this happens, search indexing gets slower, if not just stops working.
Right.
Reports and list views start to act not so performant.
Which even that, if it were just in this thing. But what happened was for this, as we were discussing today, for the 6 for everybody on the listening,
they've updated the time frame in which
people lost data.
And
that's the big one. Is that So why don't you can actually, because you're telling me, because I didn't know the actual pizza story. Why don't you tell me the actually what happened, and then we can get on our soapboxes.
At some point on May 10th, the service went down, like completely down, and they hot swapped over to the backup. And this actually occurred, I think, on 3 pods, 11, 12, and 14. And when they went and hot swapped over, all was fine and service was restored.
So just for people listening, so they might not know hot swapping. Hot swapping is where you have 2 systems running in parallel together. One is the one you're using, the production version, and another is a backup to that production version. But it is hot swappable, meaning if A goes down, you go right on to B, and you really don't lose much. It comes right back up, and everything that you were doing was right there. So that's what very hot swappable. Again, doesn't mean right. You move from point A to point B. It's like having 2 batteries in your car. You're driving down the road, the first battery goes off, and you click a switch, and the second battery takes over. So you're swapping from one to the other.
Right. So that happened. People were up and running on the backup, and then the backup had a severe database issue. So severe, meaning this database is no longer working.
Right.
So now you're basically down because your backup is down.
Right.
And during that time frame in which people were working in the the DR or the backup environment,
so I mean they're logging Salesforce.
They're logging in.
They could be having
accounts. They're putting in contacts.
Could be
closing opportunities.
Integrations pulling in data.
There's a community. There might who knows. Right. The database had a catastrophic error, and when that occurred, now they're just out, blacked out, done for a while. And when they brought the service back up, they realized that they had lost data that was entered into the system for about a 6-hour time frame.
Right. So experience would be you logged into Salesforce, you did a bunch of work, or you had integrations coming from other systems, and then when you come back, it goes down, and you're like, oh, crazy.
Yeah.
And then when you come back in the next day or whatever, and you search for that thing you did, it's not there.
And
Gonzers.
News as of yesterday, May 12th, was that they've actually determined that the time frame where the data could not be restored has been reduced to about 3.5 hours,
right,
as opposed to 6 hours.
Better,
not still bad. Like
so, let me ask you a question. Yeah, scale 1 to 10. 10 being, 10 to me is always. I'm gonna put the thing. 10 is a breach of security of Salesforce data.
Yeah.
That'd be a 10.
I think to me, a 10 is this thing is down and it's never coming back. Like that is a 10.
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms
it is
of impact.
Broken.
Right.
It is completely broken and it is never going to be the same for you ever again.
So what was it Spring 14 that I had a problem with?
Yeah, you had a big problem with Spring 12 or 14 or something.
I think it was,
some even number spring.
Yes, it was one of the ones that just was.
It was just a bad.
And right, they had to roll
buggy
it back,
release that got rolled back.
Right.
So
I think that was like a 4.
Yeah, on a scale of so we have to put this into perspective first of all. So this did happen in production,
right?
Okay? It happened in production on 1
3.
pod.
You said 3, but
no,
the data loss was on
the data loss. Sure,
right.
They were down on 3 pods. Fine, the service goes down. To expect 100% uptime is sort of unrealistic. So, they had some downtime, but again, these are just North America customers, and now it goes up to NA45, but it skips from 34 to 41, and it starts at 0. So whatever that is, right? 37 pods.
Right.
So out of 37 pods, there's one out of 37
that lost data for 3 hours.
For 3.5 hours.
Okay.
So that's a lot of, and then there's a lot of customers in Europe and in Asia that did not know that this even happened. Didn't impact them at all.
Right.
So I'm putting all that in front to say that this impacted a small percentage of Salesforce's overall customer base. With that said, this is a big deal. I think when you talk about trust being your number one thing, your absolute number one priority, your absolute number one principle, and that you are to be trusted, and where we just came off of a conversation where we're talking about ISVs building out their entire businesses based on the fact that Salesforce is going to be the platform that they're going to roll their software out on. If you are an ISV, say NGO Connect or Round Corner, for example, right? And, you know, my contract with them is with them, right? I've got a contract with a partner, and I'm entering in really important data, like huge major gift donations of, you know, in the magnitude of, you know, millions of dollars. Or I've got an online presence where I'm collecting online donations that are got to come into my system. And I'm just using NGO Connect as an example, or Round Cause, or whatever they're going to call it now, as just an example. But any ISV who's being asked by Salesforce to trust them, and hey, you no longer have to build out your own stack to roll out and sell and provide your software to the masses. We will do all of that for you. Like, there are serious ramifications when data is lost off of this platform, because it's not just people using Salesforce, it's anybody using anything built on Salesforce. So there's such a domino effect. Like, how does an ISV, and this is where I'll feel bad for Round Corner in this respect, how do they explain this? Like, some ISVs go out there and sell it as though this isn't Salesforce, this is us. Right. This is me. This is my company, my software. You don't even know you're using Salesforce.
Right, in the back end.
On the back end. And it's bad. So I'm going to throw it at like an 8 or 9.
No, it's not an 8 or 9. It's
pretty bad.
No.
From a trust perspective and a reputational hit, it is really, really,
but here's the
bad.
thing. It's all about how, first of all, right, okay, I say it's really bad. But then there's this. Salesforce is transparent to what's going on, meaning there are many ISVs, and we don't deal with those ISVs. We don't deal with those companies. Although, you know, I do. I complain about, you know, we complain about Intuit and their stuff. And I mean, there's plenty of companies out there that run this stuff that don't have trust sites, that don't show you their transactions, that don't tell you where things are going wrong. It just goes down, and they don't ever tell you ever. Nor do they have the CEO tweeting people directly to email him and try to work it out. I mean, so while this is big from them, it's big from them because they're known in the industry as one of these really big players who has very good systems. And it seems like it's big because it's something that was architecturally, it seems like something they could have avoided. Because what we were talking about today is like, it's the perfect storm. When you're building this, you're like, well, we have one system up and we have a hot swappable system. So if this system goes down, it goes this system. But then no one asked the third question, which is, what if that system goes down while this other one?
While the other one's still down.
And someone probably said, that'll never happen. And then, and then it did. Because what you need to have is then something to back up the backup, which is tough and difficult and expensive. If you think about now, I'm running 3 of everything. If you're really doing it that way, right? 3 hot swappable.
Well, isn't that what I'm paying you for? Like, because I don't want a triple redundant system. I think I don't really want to do that.
Well, the point is, dear Mark, that's your
dear Parker.
Yeah, dear Parker.
Parker.
It's your problem. Like I shouldn't have to know about this, how many DRs, where you do it, right? But the point is, I pay you to keep the system up.
Yeah,
and
I pay you because I don't want sleepless nights.
Right.
Like if I own my own Salesforce,
right,
and it went down, like the whole
right.
point of cloud computing beyond its
right.
scalability and all that other fun stuff, but the whole point is to unload the burden on your own IT staff so that they don't have to worry about keeping the lights on.
Now, clearly,
like,
we weren't
the sale. That is the pitch.
Also, clearly, we weren't in NA14 because
we were not.
My reaction is kind of based on, boy, it's a bummer. It's kind of like I live in New York, and if a tornado hits Utah, I'm always like, oh, that's terrible for them and whatever. But you don't feel the impact if the tornado hit your building. So I there's definitely that. Again, I hope what they do
we
is
have
be very
number of clients though.
Yeah, I hope they're very transparent about what happened, and I hope they're very transparent about what they're going to do to make it better. That's the important piece, because this will happen, and it will happen again. But the question is, how do you learn from it? How are you transparent with your clients, right? Your customers, your partners, your everything. How are you extremely transparent about it? And what I do is I trust that this company, who is pretty transparent about things, equal rights, equal wage earners, they do a lot to try to keep them very open. I think at the end of the day, they're even having a conference call next week. I think they will say, here's what happened, here's what we did wrong, here's how we're going to fix it. And that is so much better than 99% of the companies out there that just like hide these things. I've had companies where their stuff goes down for weeks at a time that I've dealt with, and I won't name their names, and there's no transparency to that, like nothing. So it's bad. I agree. Losing data is terrible. I've never seen them lose data before. This is, it's the perfect storm. And I think the last point that kind of gets a little bit in the craw, is you just did this after raising your prices for the first time. So it's never good to be like, and here's new pricing that's more expensive. Right. And then it fails 2 weeks later. That plus the fact that, what people have been making the analogy to and whatever online, and I even tweeted out the joke, is like I said, is it wrong that I blame the NA14 all on Lightning? Because, people your mind starts to say, well, wow, if you hadn't been spending all this time doing all this cool Lightning stuff, with, Kanbans and pretty pixelists and butterflies that do their wings every time you log into the site, maybe those wing power could have gone towards a backup server or two that would, prevented this.
Wing power. Powered by wings.
Yeah, so I've been trying Lightning and trying to get into it more and more. There are some things that
I've been trying it more and more myself, and I cannot get over related lists and how they're presented.
That's the deal breaker.
There's just no information.
It's just not presented well.
Like, there's like 2 records. Well, there's like 45 of these. Like, can I see some more?
Right.
Please?
Right.
Sorry.
And I don't want to see them stacked on top. I don't want to see them stacked in a little...
Thanks for stacking these on top of each other and taking up the whole page.
Useless.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Anyway. All right. Well,
Come on, Parker.
Come on, Parker.
Fix it, Parker.
Fix it.
We love you, Salesforce.
Salesforce disconnected.
I love you.
Oh, terrible.
I love you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much flack are we going to get about this podcast title?
No.
0. All right, let's do a pick of the week. And next week we'll get to summer. So there are some things in summer that I'm extremely excited about.
There's some super cool stuff coming in summer.
Not just, hey, look, we made something that used to work in Aloha work in Lightning. There's a lot of that. But there's also some things like we did new stuff that you've wanted for a long time. And I'm excited for it. So let's talk about that next week. This week, let's finish up with our CloudFocus app pick of the week. Go for it. I even wrote this in for you because I knew you were going to pick it. Were you going to pick this?
Yeah, I've been using it all week.
Of course you have. So what is it?
WhatsApp finally has an official desktop application. And I've been using WhatsApp forever and been touting it as the best cross-platform messaging app that exists.
Owned by Facebook.
Owned by Facebook, but left alone by Facebook.
How's it working on the iPad?
It doesn't work on the iPad. It never has.
Yeah, that is such a fail.
I think that's an Apple thing.
Slack is on it.
I don't know why they never.
No, it's not an Apple thing.
No, but you can't install it.
I'm telling you, it's not an Apple thing. They could have built their own app.
No. Why can I not install this app as an iPhone app on my iPad?
I don't know.
But that doesn't seem right.
Could they not have gone and built an iPad version or a universal version?
Forget that.
Well, that's not forgettable.
No, but I think that there's more to it because I literally can't get the app on the iPad. And if there's not an iPad version, you can download the iPhone version usually. Like, I've never ever encountered.
But even even if you could download the iPhone version on the iPad, it's crappy.
But have you ever encountered?
I don't know.
An app.
Most providers do
don't
universal.
Say I don't know. This is a yes or no question. Have you, Jason, ever encountered an app?
Yes. What's that?
You don't even know.
Yes, an app that you cannot download onto your iPad no matter what.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from them, have you ever encountered one?
No, of the 500-600 apps I've ever downloaded, this is one that
I feel like they don't want it on there.
But who's they?
Apple.
Why?
Because they don't want
Slack's
it on
there. Messages on there. Hangouts is on there. Every other one of these things is on there.
They probably don't consider them as direct competition as this is to iMessage.
Google?
I don't believe that they feel like this is as direct of a competitor to messaging as those other things are.
Well, then why'd they let it onto the OS X?
No clue.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. No, your argument is full of holes.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Anyway,
well,
good. I'm glad. Is it a good app? Is it a good app?
You know what? It's good, but there's still some weirdness to it that it's still okay. So the setup process is pretty easy because, again, like there's no login or anything to it. It's connected to the phone. So when you open it, it has a QR code to scan
from your phone.
You just hold your phone up and boom, it's connected and you're on and all your messages are there.
That's cool.
But if your phone's like not within Wi-Fi distance or on the same Wi-Fi, or I don't know if it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or what it is, it don't work on the desktop. So it's still reliant on the phone, so it's not totally standalone. So if I feel as though if I was on an airplane and my phone was on airplane mode, but I was connected to Wi-Fi on my desktop,
you think it connects to your phone to send and receive stuff?
I think that's the only way.
Well, can't you just turn off your phone and try it on your app?
I can.
Well, why you do that? I'll make my pick since
I'll just put my phone in airplane mode right now. There we go.
That'll work. That'll work.
Done. Airplane mode, and now I will. I'll try and send a message in here.
Because what we need.
Do I have a message with you at all?
Yeah, you do somewhere.
Somewhere with just you?
Oh, probably not. So. Probably doesn't matter. Send it to your buddies.
I will, but then they're gonna write back, and then it's gonna be a whole.
Well, then you should shut down a WhatsApp before you get on podcasts.
Testing something. Go. It's not going. It's actually not going.
So it's not actually using its own thing. It's just sending it to the phone.
Yeah.
That's no good.
I agree.
That's not good.
I'm still picking it because of the convenience.
Great pick.
Oh, there it is. Phone not connected. Make sure your phone has an active internet connection.
That's terrible.
Internet connection. It's going through.
That's terrible.
Data. Of my phone.
It doesn't matter, but it's still terrible that it's going through your phone. Why can't it just go through the Wi-Fi you have on your laptop?
I don't know.
That makes it useless. I mean, not to you. Fine, you love it, whatever. But good thing to know. Anyway, WhatsApp for OS X. Through your phone. I'm going to pick a very simple one. This was sent to us by somebody. I forgot exactly but thank you very much for sending it. I'll insert your name later in post. It's called Limits. It's a free iOS app, and you log in, and it's a quick little fun app, but it reads all the sort of stuff that's going on in your org, and so it will tell you like how many reports have been run, how much your daily API, and it gives you like a readout. Are you at 38%? Are you at whatever? So like right now in our org, we're at 39% of our data storage, and we're at 45% of our daily API requests. So it's kind of cool because you can kind of look to see, oh, look, we're in trouble. And for you admins out there, it's a good thing to have, to know like at least to be able to log in if someone says, hey, I'm having issues. This is the type of thing that just should be built into Salesforce A. It's like there's no reason to have this in another place. just like columnist user should be built into A. So some point, Salesforce A should have the ability to have little apps that run in it, and then this would be a perfect app to run inside of Salesforce A because it's exactly where it should be. It should be its own app.
You speak the truth.
But nice, it kind of, it doesn't give you a lot, but it if you were looking for a quick hit of like, crap, someone's saying, they can't run a Conga something, and you go in, which has happened to us, and you look at the API requests are, at 99% or sorry, 0%, you might say. Anyway, so limits, it's actually by a guy, Mike Epstein.
You didn't even say what you might say. But
you might say, hey.
Oh,
and then you got to call somebody.
All right,
hey,
let's go.
All right. So
let's get out of here.
That's it, $0.
We're out of here.
On iOS. We'll be back next week. We'll talk
maybe.
If we do one in a week that lands on a week, it's weekly. So that's the thing. If you do one that's every other week, aren't you still kind of weekly? What do you call yourself? Bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. All right, we'll be back. Just Edelstein, Jason M. Atwood on Twitter, Arkus Inc., Facebook.com/Arkus Inc., Success Community, Power of Us Hub. We have groups in there. We're on the LinkedIn, in the Google+. And remember, if you really enjoy how much we destroy you and your company and all of our negativity, please leave reviews on iTunes and on Stitcher. And until next week, Justin Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy